Bastogne Pale Ale.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. It's Saturday. It's half time in the football and West Ham are 1-0 up. Fucking brilliant. And we're playing Man City, so we'll probably get humped about 3-1 by the end of the day, so typical West Ham. Anyway, enough about that. In the words of Lenny Kravitz, it's not over till it's over. I have got some of this stuff. Bastogne Belgian Pale Ale. Now, this is a new one on me. They've got it down as a Belgian Pale Ale, but it's got Blond on it. So, I'm assuming this is some sort of attempt on a Pale Ale, British Pale Ale. I don't know. I really don't know. Looking at the ingredients, it isn't an American Pale Ale from what I can make out. I could be wrong on that, but going by the hops, it's not an American Pale Ale. But a little bit about Bastogne. Now, Bastogne, before we get onto the actual beer, Bastogne is a place in Belgium. You may have heard of it. If you like your World War II history, Bastogne is massive. This was the epicentre of the Battle of the Bulge, the Ardennes Offensive, whatever you want to call it. It was basically Germany's last hurrah on the Western Front. In 1944, around Christmas 1944/45. Basically what happened is a load of American paratroopers from, I think it was the 101st Airborne Division, were basically held up in Bastogne, and it was a blocker for the German advance that was going towards the port of Antwerp, and the American 101st held out there for days, and it was freezing cold, it was snowing, real hellish conditions. They were getting bombarded left, right and centre. They was offered to surrender, and their commanding officer told the Germans nuts, which the Germans didn't understand. But yeah, it's, if you've ever watched Band of Brothers, watch Band of Brothers and you'll see all about Bastogne. But Bastogne, the point I'm trying to make is Bastogne is in the Ardennes region of Belgium, which is the French-speaking part, and it's the more hilly and rocky part of, or mountainous part, if you like, and forested part of Belgium. And this is where the local malt comes from. I'll get onto the malt when I'm doing the ingredients, but they've only been going since 2008, so they're relatively new. And they do a full range of beers, and from what I can gather, they look like an half-decent brewery. They're Brasserie De Bastogne, which basically means Brewery of Bastogne. And yeah, this Pale Ale was on Beers of Europe. I like the look of it. Obviously, with the Bastogne connection, I just thought, well, I've got to get this, just so I can bore the shit out of you with my history knowledge. Anyway, enough about my history knowledge. Let's get this beer checked out. Right, so as I said, it's a Belgian Pale Ale, or a Blond, whatever you want to call it. It's 5.5%, which is sort of in keeping with a Belgian Blonde. I'll tell you if it's like a Belgian Blonde when I taste it. But it's a 330ml bottle, and it's got 3 types of hops in it. It has got Warrior hops, which are renowned for their bittering qualities, and I'm assuming that's what they've used that for the bittering in this. They've used Cascade. They've dry hopped Cascade in that. Cascade, well-known hop, spicy, and got some lemon flavours in it as well. And they've also got Hallertauer Hersbrucker, which is a German hop, quite a popular hop, used in lagers and some British beers as well, some ales too. It gives off fruity, floral and spicy flavours, which going into a Belgian beer would make a lot of sense, because they're the sort of flavours you get. The lemon not so much, but the spice and the fruit definitely. The malt is interesting. You've got Pils or Pilsner malt. You've got pale malt, which I'm assuming is the base malt, but you've also got spelt malt as well. Spelt, S-P-E-L-T, is spelt, if you like. This is a modified grain. What does modified mean? Modified means that it's been treated to release enzymes which will help the digestion of the sugars by the yeast and also help break down the complex starches. So it's easier to ferment, basically, and it's used quite a lot in German beers. And modified malt is much more desirable when you're brewing than unmodified malt, because, as I say, it's very yeast friendly and it breaks down a lot of them difficult to digest starches. So with that in mind, let's get this open and let's see what it's all about. Before I open it, I want to show you this glass. I got this from Beers of Europe. It is Brigand. That is a Belgian beer, but I wanted one of these high stemmed glasses because there's quite a few beers that use these glasses, and that sort of falls in between a chalice and a tulip glass. And if you use either, I don't know, I'd rather use the right or very similar sort of glassware, and that was what I was lacking, so I've got one now, so I'm going to use it. So there you go. Right, get this open. Right, now let's have a look at the cap. That is a wild boar. You see it? That's his outer and that's his back legs. That is quite significant because wild boar are quite common in the forests of the Ardennes, and they've picked up on that and they've used that as their label, which is fair enough. Right, I don't know how clean this glass is. I'm not sure whether it's been in the dishwasher, but there you go. This is lively. Now this is top fermented, and I think it is also bottle fermented as well. That's a huge head, but I'm getting lots of aroma from that. Wow, do you know what? The first thing that hits me is lemon, spice, banana, touch of banana, and clove. And generally, everything Belgian. That is what it's smelling like anyway. It's smelling like a Belgian blonde. But it's fucking lively, I know that. Look at the size of that head. It's got a head like a Birkin head. I don't know whether I should be talking about Liverpool. Whether they're going to lynch me after that Erdinger review. The Jurgen Klopp Erdinger review. There it is in the glass. Looks quite nice, very hazy. Loads and loads of carbonation. Can you get that in there? Yeah, you're probably seeing that now, yeah. There is a ton of it. Right, let's get it down the hatch. Bottoms up. Oh, bitter. That is quite bitter. And they've used that warrior hop to bitter it, I think. But I'm getting quite a bit of lemon, quite a bit of banana and clove, and generally this tastes like a Belgian blonde. There is a lot of coriander in that. I'm getting that herbal type coriander flavour that you certainly get in Belgian wit beers. I'm getting that white pepper spice as well. There's the last of the yeast. And I'm assuming a lot of that is coming from the yeast as well. So there is bitterness in this. And that, I'm assuming, is coming from the bittering of the warrior hops. And the spice and the banana and clove notes are coming from the yeast. Now they do mention caramel malt on this, or that I should be getting some caramel malt, and there is roasted malt in this, but I'm not getting that at all. Generally quite pleasant, just with that bitterness on the arse end of it. But it's got typical Belgian flavours, as I say, the banana, the clove, the coriander, the white pepper, the herbal notes, herbal grassy type notes on it, and not much of a malty finish on that at all. In fact, I can't get much malt in there, but it's quite nice. If you like Belgian wit beer, you will like this. If you're a fan of Blonds, the beer, not the ladies, you're going to like this as well. It's just, the only thing that's different on that is quite a bit of finish on it. But I like that. That's nice. Very drinkable too. And it looks nice as well. So what's the verdict on Bastogne Pale Ale? Yeah, not bad. They got it down as a blonde, and yeah, I'd say it is a blonde, Belgian blonde, rather than a pale ale. Now, if they're just talking descriptive on that, then it is. It's pale compared to a double. If you're thinking it's going to be like a British pale ale, which I did, nah, not at all. Certainly not an American pale ale. This is typically Belgian, with a bitter finish on it. But it's quite nice, quite drinkable, and I could sink quite a few of them. That's very nice. Yeah, not bad. Considering they've been going since 2008, that is perfectly acceptable. I'm going to give that a 7.5 out of 10. I'll definitely recommend it as well. That's quite nice. 7.5 out of 10, recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.